Because the meaning really works together, doesn't it? All right, so all year long, me and many of my colleagues are joining together in an overall theme called A World That Works for Everyone. I have chosen to do it on the first Sunday of each month, so that's today. A world that works for everyone. Just to kind of give a little recap, it does not mean that everybody gets their own way. And I've said this every month to sort of set the stage, because that's kind of what it sounds like. Well, if the world is working for me, I'm going to get my own way. No, what we're really talking about is the sense of equal access and equal value. And then what does that mean if it's going to work for everybody? Equal access and equal value. So a world that works for everyone. For me, today we're talking about freedom and forgiveness and loving kindness, which many of my colleagues are also doing throughout the whole month. Today I'm going to focus a whole lot on forgiveness, which I believe ties to freedom, which I believe ties to loving kindness. They all work together. Now today happened to also be the weekend of Independence Day. I begin by honoring those brave souls who defiantly, I love that word too, who defiantly decided that they wanted a new level of religious and governmental freedom, enough to make a very bold move and move out of the familiar and into an unknown territory, willing to create a new thing. Oh my gosh, that's what we're all about here at this philosophy. That we want something new in our lives so deeply, and we believe in that vision so much that we will leave the old behind, willing to step into the unknown so that we can create a brand new thing. So, you know what, Beck, let me go ahead and grab that from you. I think I'll just make this easy. Thank you. Here's the key words. I already said that. Freedom, forgiveness, and loving kindness. So you can kind of see how all these things are going to tie together today. I just want to make the black. Let's hope so. There we go. All right. So I'm going to start actually with the Bible, because I grew up, and I still hear this from some people sometimes. In Matthew, you find Jesus talking about forgiveness. And he says something about, I'm going to paraphrase, of course, I never met the man. He says something about, God won't forgive you until you have forgiven. Wow, that sounds like a drama queen God, if you ask me. Sounds like a God that plays the nah. I'm not going to forgive you if you don't forgive me. Certainly not the kind of God I believe in. So, God forgives after. Well, let's see what our founder, Ernest Holmes, has to say about that, because he has a very different take on it, and this take makes sense to me. He says, using this Matthew chapter, he says, we are told that God will forgive us after we have forgiven others. This is a direct statement and one that we should ponder deeply. Can God forgive until we have forgiven? Okay, here's one of our points now. If God can work for us only by working through us, then this statement is correct. And it stands as a statement of the law of cause and effect. Whole different frame of mind. It's not that there's some God out there who's going, I'm not forgiving you until you forgive me, or until you do your forgiveness work. It says God can only work for us by working through us. So we cannot be receiving forgiveness if we're not giving forgiveness, if we're not for giving. It's a law of cause and effect. Whole different frame of mind. So after, before, during, God working through us, we must always be in a forgiving attitude. When we don't forgive, we are literally blocking the flow of moving forward. We are stuck. The flow is stagnant and we can't move forward. If this power holds nothing against us, which I absolutely believe, why would this great power create us and then hold something against us? Makes no sense. To me, what makes absolute, perfectly good sense is that this power would never hold anything against us to begin with. So there's no tit for tat coming from the higher power. It's human. It's a very human process that we go through, and a very valuable one. Let me just make it real simple. For me, forgiveness means let it go. That's it. Let's not make it any more complicated. Forgiveness means let it go. Is it easy to do? Is it easy for you to do? Is it easy to just let go? It sounds so easy. Oh, just let it go. Just let it go. You know, I actually hate it when people say that to me. Just let it go. You know, take out the word just and take out the attitude and just let it go. It's like, you know what, I'm working on letting it go every single day of my life. Whatever it is, it might be big, it might be the little tiny things. But forgiveness really is that simple. It means let it go. It means I'm not going to carry it around anymore. And we're the ones who must do it. If we want to move forward, if we want to grow, we must, so that we're not dragging around the person or the event with us. Unless you like dragging around the old dead stuff. I don't. But we must let it go. We're the ones who must do it. We must do it individually. We must do it with family. We must do it with our cities and our countries. We must do it globally. Even the justifiable, righteous things. Okay, like for instance, 9/11. How often do we hear people say we will never forget? Oh my goodness, now we're invigorating the law of cause and effect for more bad stuff. We're not going to forget. It was a tragedy, but let's not hold on to the righteous anger and be unforgiving, because that's contrary to what we say we want. So we must learn to even let go of the big, validated, righteous things, or we could stay, you know what, darn it, we have a right to feel that way. All right, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to give you a very personal example, because often, this is one of the things that ministers hate about this job, is that whatever it is we're talking about, the universe gives us way to practice. So last night, I had a seemingly little thing happen, but I'm like, oh, what a sense of humor the universe has, giving me this opportunity. I had a conversation with a family member who I happen to love and adore and have a very good relationship with. This family member also sometimes pushes my buttons. And up until now, my choice has been to just pretty much keep my mouth shut and say, you know what, it's not worth it. But the older I get, the less that's working for me. Call it coming into my own wisdom time. It's just not working the same. And so I'm having this conversation, and I was getting riled up because religion came into it. And so there was some arrogance on the part of my family member, dogging one of her family members about, I can't believe that she believes that. I'm thinking, well, I can't believe you believe what you believe either. But I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say that. But as she's talking, I'm thinking, wow, this just sounds arrogant. And I'm trying so hard not to be an arrogant person. I try to be humble, you know, and I try to not be the know-it-all. And so it was just really triggering that button last night. And then I said, you know what, I just really don't want to talk about religion right now, so then I moved to politics. Not much better. One of the two things they say don't talk about with your family are, you know, religion and politics. And so politics came in, and there were some good things in that conversation, but I could just feel myself getting really agitated, so much so that I was pacing the floor as I'm talking on the phone. Good thing we don't have cords anymore, because I needed to burn off the energy. And I was just pacing back and forth, and I'm like, what is going on? And so finally I said, you know what? I just need to end this conversation, because I got to go to bed pretty soon, and I like to go to bed peaceful. I don't like to go to bed agitated, so we just need to stop this conversation. I've never done that before. I've never said, I just really need to stop this conversation. We got to talk about this. Yeah. That right there was a huge win, a huge progress. So I hung up, and I felt angry. So it moved from a little irritation to agitation to downright. I'm like, ugh. I got out a piece of paper intending I was going to just write a few things, and I ended up just ripping through the paper, and I'm like, oh, this has really got me going. And I could just feel it. I'm like, all right, so I don't want to go to bed this way. What am I going to do about this? Oh yeah, what are you talking about tomorrow? Goodness. Let it go. And I needed to let it go because I needed to go to bed peacefully. And so I said, all right, just sit here and breathe. I did write a few expletives on my paper, because sometimes that's just the only way for me to get it out. Just, it helps.